Well, gracious greetings, St. Stephen family and guests. Welcome to another edition of Living Water for a Thirsty Thursday. Yeah, today we're talking about gluttony. You see it off to my left, off to your right. Yeah, there are things we really enjoy eating. They serve as a sense of comfort for us and joy and delight. So prayerfully, your takeaways today will be that of learning a little bit more about the things that I eat when I'm depressed, things that I eat when I'm impressed, and things that I eat when I'm refreshed. And so you're already getting the tone and the tenor that pretty much wherever I find myself in life, there's something that I want to eat. Well, the text that I want to read comes from Proverbs 23, the 20th and 21st verse. It says, "Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags." And so when you read these verses, it's amazing how there's a correlation between one that is a drunkard, one that likes to drink, and one that really likes to be a glutton and eat a lot of food. And so when we see this word gluttony in the Bible, it actually speaks of a person that has riotous eating. And the riotous there, that word in Hebrew means excessive eating or uncontrolled eating. And so that is riotous eating, and that's a glutton, where we're just eating out of control, whatever we want, whenever we want, as much as we want. And we even connect it with some form of pleasure. It gives us some form of delight. It gives us some form even of control. And so amazing that it's connected with drunkenness, because that's the same thing that happens with drunks. You lose control thinking you're gaining control through the drinking. He says, "But don't be among those wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh," as we just spoke of. And that flesh means fat, not being one that enjoys eating fat, like a steak that has a lot of fat in it, or prime rib. I know of people that just enjoy eating the fat that's around the prime rib more than they enjoy the lean meat. And so that's exactly what it's speaking to, eating that which we shouldn't, eating a whole lot of it if we could, and eating it often. And then it moves, "For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty." Amazing that the two different types of things that we enjoy bring us to the same place that we would not enjoy, which is poverty. And that word poverty is actually speaking of brings us to a ruin. And so bringing us to this place where we are destroyed, bringing us to this place where we actually lose everything that is really important to us. You know, and this is prevalent obviously now in this time of COVID-19, because there's so many things that we can't do that we would like to do. One being exercise, that it's easy to go to when we're kind of depressed, even when we have a moment where we're kind of impressed, as we said, or even when we kind of feel a little refreshed, we still find something that we enjoy and we eat. Now, I've gave statistics the last time about the mental health issues. 1 in 4 Americans have that. I talked about the financial statistics in America, and that 8 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Well, same thing with overweight and obesity in our country. 32% of Americans are overweight, and 36% of Americans are obese. And so you already see, with those added up, 2/3 of Americans are at least overweight or obese. And it doesn't take a lot, as we know, to be overweight. I mean, it could be right up to about 20 pounds over your ideal weight, and we're already overweight. And then north of 20, 30 pounds over our ideal weight, we start moving towards being obese, and then we can go to morbidly obese, and it just keeps on going from there. but we have a lot of people there, and we have a lot of believers, a lot of Christians, that even celebrate being overweight and obese. And so we want to make sure that we're looking at this text and we're learning what we need to learn, because it says it will bring us to ruin. It will bring us to poverty. And then the last part of verse 21 says, and drowsiness, amazing that, and it literally speaks of being sleepy, shall clothe a man with rags. It's amazing how both of these different behaviors lead us towards that drowsiness. Alcohol, when you start drinking it, we always talk about, you got to sleep it off, and you get a little lazy and you want to go to sleep. Same thing when we really satiate ourselves and eat a lot of food. They call it the food coma. Before we know it, we're starting to fall on back and, go to sleep. And it says that drowsiness, which is connected with what we talked about last week, that sloth. It says that drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags, meaning she'll end up with nothing, because they're drowsy from being gluttonous and from being a drunkard, and for not having that discipline to say, I don't need to eat this much. I don't need to eat that much. I don't need to have the whole cake, the whole pie. I don't need to eat myself in and out of depression. Even though we do feel those ways sometimes, we've got to use something other than food, which is the Lord. With that being said, the passage that I want to use to close out kind of ties in last week and this week, yet and still in Proverbs, the 19th chapter at the 15th verse, it says, slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep. Being lazy, if you would, not having the decision-making power that we need and the discipline that we need, puts us into a deep sleep. And then it says, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Is that amazing how it comes full circle, that us being a drunkard, that us being a glutton can move us to the place that we are lazy and sleepy. And by being lazy and sleepy, we get idle, and then we end up suffering from hunger because we are living in poverty and ruin, all that the text spoke of. So I pray that you see how all of this comes full circle, and all of us have things that we love to eat, and all of us go on these binges and do those things. But at the same time, when we binge and do that which isn't healthy for our body, we have to binge and do those things which are. And so even if it's just doing exercise in the bed or whatever we can do, or eat right days after that, and try to make sure we do the right thing far more than we do the wrong thing, all of those things helps, because ultimately it allows the Holy Spirit to discipline our life rather than drunkenness, gluttonous, and being slothful. Well, tune in next week as we continue this journey on the 7 deadly sins. Next week, we're going to talk about being greedy, a little bit different from gluttony. Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and do.